Somewhere I Belong, Chapter 15, Part 2. Can I try a bit of that? Vinyl asked. Sure. The man took his fork and knife and cut a piece off for the mare. Vinyl sniffed it and gulped. What kind of meat is this? Beef, he said as the mare looked at him in confusion. Cow. Okay, don't knock it till you try it, she said as she took a bite. The mare slowly chewed the meat and swallowed. Not too bad, I guess, she said as she wiped her mouth with her napkin. Gilda came by and handed him the bill. Hey Gilda, Rainbow told me that you work for Griffin Air Mail. Why are you here? My uncle owns the restaurant, and I help out on the weekends, she said with a shrug. Isaac nodded and paid the bill and left 10 bits as a tip. The two walked out of the restaurant and made their way back to the city street. So Vinyl, how did you get into the music business? He asked. Well, I've always liked music. When I was a filly, I accidentally scratched a record on a turntable and I liked the noise. I started to practice it, and the rest is history, she said with a smile. Interesting. So when is this gig you're performing at? It's tonight at 11. You should totally come by, she said with a smile. I don't know, Vinyl. I have to go with Rarity to this art thing. Oh, come on, please, she asked as she made a pouting face. How can I resist that face? He thought to himself. If I leave early or the event ends, then maybe I'll swing by, he said as the mare cheered. Just so you know, I'm not a club person, and I'd most likely stick out like a sore thumb. Relax, I'll get you in, she said with a smile. The two continued to make their way through the busy street as the day went on. Rarity sat in the hotel room as she flipped through a magazine. The mare let out a groan as she threw the magazine on the table. I'm so bored, she thought to herself. The mare looked through her dresser for the 10th time and came up with the same outfit every time. The mare groaned and paced around the hotel room. She walked over to Isaac's bag and withdrew his laptop. How does this thing work? She then started to press random buttons. Rarity smiled as the screen flickered on, showing a text box with a word. Password. Password, she said as she scratched her chin. Rainbow Dash, she typed. The screen showed a big red X and the word vanished. Okay, Applejack. The mare typed out and was met with the same result. This time, 2 X's appeared on the screen. That didn't work. Earth? She typed. 3 red X's blinked on the screen, and the mare saw a sudden flash come from a small circle that was just above the laptop screen, which quickly turned to black. Oh no, oh no, oh no. I broke it, she said as she started to panic. Calm down, Rarity. I'll just put it back, she said as she slipped it back into his bag. As she slipped the device back inside, she picked up the small leather-bound book. Oh, I really shouldn't snoop, the mare said as she went to put the book back. Oh, I just can't resist, she squealed as she opened the first page. As the mare got through the first page, the doorknob slowly started to open. The mare quickly levitated the book back into Isaac's bag and grabbed the nearby magazine. The door opened to reveal the man with a smile on his face. Hello, Isaac. How was your walk? She said, sounding as innocent as possible. The mare noticed the man had a few black marks on his face and on his arms, and was missing the black sweatshirt that he had left with that morning. Good. How's your head? He asked as he closed the door. Much better. That potion Zakora made sure does the trick, she said with a smile. The man nodded in agreement and pulled out his laptop. Why are you pulling that thing out? Just want to check the system, and his face turned to confusion as the screen showed 3 red X's and a photo of the mare's face. Rarity, why did you try to get into my laptop? What are you talking about? I programmed the computer to give me 3 tries to get the password right. If the correct password isn't put in, then the computer locks down and takes a snapshot of the person in front of the screen as it shuts down, he said as he eyed the mare. So it isn't broken? No, it's just locked like a door. It just needs a key, he said as he cracked his knuckles. Isaac typed a series of keys on the screen, and a picture of a mountain range and a number of files appeared on the screen. Okay, running a system check, and done, he said as he shut down the computer. If you want to go on it, then just ask me next time, he said as he put the laptop away. I'm sorry, I was just so bored. There isn't much to do around here, she said in an apologetic tone. This hotel has a pool, right? Yes, why? I don't know about you, but I'm going swimming, he said as he walked into the bathroom with a pair of swim shorts. In 10 seconds flat, the man walked out wearing a pair of white swimming trunks that went down to his knees. The trunks also had green palm trees on them that sprouted from the bottom edges. Wait, I'll join you. A dip in the hot tub is just what I need to feel rejuvenated, she said with a smile. Sounds good to me, he said as he grabbed a towel. Isaac waited for the mare to finish changing. The white mare walked out wearing a bathrobe with an elegant purple R stitched into it. Ready to go? The mayor nodded. The two walked down the hallway to the elevator and took it down to the ground floor. Oh yeah, guess who I ran into on the street? Who? Vinyl. Really? What's she doing here? She has a gig in the city, he said as the elevator came to a halt. So what did you two do? We went sightseeing and then stopped for lunch at a Griffin restaurant. That reminds me, I ran into Gilda in Little Griffonia. The mayor put a hand to her mouth in shock. You didn't get in any trouble, did you? No, we're cool now, he said with a grin. So why did you come back so early? Rarity asked as they walked through the lobby. Vinyl had to go and check in at the club where she's performing, so I came back here, he said with a shrug. The two walked into the empty pool house and let out a sigh. The pool was 12 feet long and 10 feet deep at the far end. The hot tub was only 5 feet wide and 3 feet deep. It sat on the right side of the pool. Isaac set his towel down on a chair and table and removed his black t-shirt. Rarity felt herself blush at the man's well-built, muscular frame. The man let out a sigh as he sat in the warm water. Oh, that feels nice, he said with a smile on his face. The white mare nodded and removed her robe, revealing a tight-fitting black bikini that was barely held together by a few drawstrings. Isaac gulped and blamed the hot water for making his face turn red. The mare sat across from him and let out a satisfied sigh. The mare then noticed that the man had several fresh burn marks on his chest and arms. Isaac, what happened to your body? Those burns look new. Funny story about that. He was cut off as a Silentpegasus mare with a blue mane and bandages on her forehead, along with an orange unicorn stallion, with his right arm in a sling, accompanied by a small red Pegasus filly, no older than 5 years old, with a bandage wrapped around her right leg. The family suddenly noticed the man and hurried over to him. Hey, it's you, the filly said as she ran up to him. Oh, what are you guys doing here? Isaac said as the family approached him. Our daughter said you took off in this direction, and we followed her, the stallion said as he scratched the back of his neck. Sorry if we're disturbing you. It's all right. We just wanted to thank you for saving Sunny, the mare said with a smile as she looked at the filly. No need. I'm content with knowing that you made it out safely, Isaac said with a smile. The filly then trotted over to her mother's bag and withdrew a beaten up and burnt black sweatshirt. I also wanted to give this back to you, the filly said with a smile. Rarity looked at the damaged black sweatshirt. The article of clothing had several burn holes in it and looked like it was trampled by a horde of rhinos. Thanks, I think we're even since you saved my sweatshirt, he said with a smile. Is there nothing we can do for you? The mare asked. It's fine, just work on finding a new home, Isaac said with a smile. The filly smiled and gave him a hug before she and her parents left the pool area with smiles on their faces. Isaac gave a final wave as they left. He looked back to Rarity, who had a very confused look on her face. Isaac, start explaining. Now, she said as she narrowed her eyes. Okay, fine, he said as he took a breath and started his story. Sorry, Isaac, but I've got to go check in at the club, Vinyl said as she scribbled something on a piece of paper and handed it to the man. What's this? He asked as he looked at the piece of paper. It's where the gig is. Come by if you get a chance, she said with a smile. Okay, see you later, he said as the mayor hailed the carriage and waved as the carriage took her down the street. Isaac looked across the street and saw a white hooded figure staring at him. Hey you, stop, he said as the figure turned and ran down the alley. Isaac ran to the middle of the street. He looked to his right to see a carriage charging towards him. Isaac acted on instinct and jumped over the two horses and landed on the top of the carriage. How'd you do that? Isaac looked behind him to see two earth pony colts staring at him in surprise. Study hard in school. Work out. Eat your green vegetables, he said as he hopped off the carriage. That's what my grandma always says. I just never believed her, one of the colts said. That's what I used to say too, he said as he took off into the alley after the figure. The alleyway was deserted as he looked around. Where did he go? He thought as he felt a small pebble hit his head. The man looked up to see the figure looking down at him. Hey, get back here, Isaac yelled as he started to climb the fire escape after the figure. As he got to the roof, he looked around to see that the figure had vanished again. Gah, where did he go? He yelled as he looked around. Isaac saw the hooded figure staring at him 3 buildings away. Isaac took chase after the figure, who seemed to move faster than a ninja. As he started to gain on him, Isaac noticed that a large cloud of smoke was coming from a house. The man stopped running and saw bright red flames coming from the windows. That doesn't look good. Isaac looked ahead to see that the figure had stopped running and was now watching him. Isaac looked at the burning building and back at the figure. Isaac saw a group of ponies now crowding around the blazing inferno. The man bit his lip and jumped onto a nearby fire escape and ran towards the burning building. Some ponies in police uniforms were holding a teal Pegasus mare and an orange unicorn stallion.